Film Rage presents Verbal Masturbation with Bryce and Jim. All right, this week's session is with Omar Mouallem, director of the Lebanese Burger Mafia, although that is just one of his many hats, as he's also a producer, writer, editor, educator, podcaster. He does speaking engagements, and as a son of a baron, he also has the title of the Honorable Omar of Alberta. Thanks for being on the show. We've never had a son of a baron on our podcast before.
You've not had royalty on this.
I have not. This is a first.
Well, this is a first. I'm very happy to be your first to break your royalty virginity on this segment called Verbal Masturbation.
Outstanding. So usually my co-host Jim likes to loosen things up with a little game before we get to the interview. He's not here, but I guess we should do it anyway. It's called OR, and it is that simple. I give you two choices, choice one or choice two, and you tell me without hesitation which choice you prefer. Are you game?
I'm game.
All right. Burger Baron Carstairs or Burger Baron Sundry?
Oh, wow. I didn't think it was going to be this tough. Jeez. I actually don't know if I ate at the Sundry Burger Baron. So with the knowledge that I have,
yes,
it's going to have to be Carstairs.
There you go. Flames or Oilers?
I mean, I'm totally apathetic, but let's just, because we're here for CIFF, let's just say the Flames. My brother's a Flames fan, so, that's for him.
There you go. Shawarma or mushroom burger?
Shawarma.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I gotta be completely honest. Hope I don't get canceled by the Barons for that one. I think the Barons themselves would be like, oh, shawarma 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, no, I don't think any of the Barons are actually going to disagree with you on that one. What is your favorite item on the Burger Baron menu?
Depends on the Burger Baron, my friend, because they all have different menus.
Yes.
My parents used to have they used to have like steak and veal and all sorts of stuff like that on the restaurant on the menu. My brother, took over the restaurant. He changed the name, but it's essentially the same menu. He's also added he's added some fancy things as well, but they still got that mushroom burger and that Baron burger. That is the only consistent thing throughout all of them. But the ones in Edmonton, you will often find corn fritters.
Ah, nice.
And I do really like corn fritters.
Who doesn't?
I do like corn fritters.
So good. Do you personally think that every Burger Baron having its own unique spin at every location helped or hindered it, or did that just add to the charm?
Oh, I think it's definitely added to the charm, and it's definitely helped it, despite what a lot of the owners think. Especially in the small towns, those Burger Barons have a little bit of everything because they're trying to fill some gaps in that restaurant. So you'll see Burger Barons in small towns that have Greek food or Italian food. The success of those businesses is a testament to the fact that works for them.
Absolutely. On that note, if you were to combine every Burger Baron in Alberta, is there anything you can think of that you would not be able to order off the combined menus?
Strangely, it's hard to find Lebanese food. Ironically.
That's the crazy.
Yeah. You might see a shawarma.
Yeah.
My brother's restaurant, I guess it's not a Burger Baron anymore.
Right.
It has fatouche. Fatouche salad.
Nice.
But yeah, if you got a hankering for some tabbouleh and some shish taouk, you're unfortunately not going to a Burger Baron for that.
I tell you. So in your personal opinion, in 10 years, do you think that the Burger Baron is still going to exist?
10 years, yes. 20 years, maybe not.
Okay.
10 years, I think. At the rate that they are closing, which is about pretty much one every year.
Yeah.
In 10 years, there'll probably be about 15 to 15.
Yeah.
And then, the next 10 years, they might all be gone by the end of that. Maybe there'll be one left.
That's sad.
Yeah, it is, but it's also like it's a testament to the Burger Baron's success. Like it wasn't, these immigrants like my parents, they were not opening these restaurants necessarily to, I guess, live in posterity. I mean, yes, in the end, my brother ended up taking over those restaurants, or over their restaurant, but usually they go in with the intention of creating some stability and income, some wealth for their kids to go to college and university and have, sort of professional class jobs.
Yep.
There are sons of barons who have, become lawyers and doctors and documentary filmmakers and, whatever else, politicians. And so, the fact that these burger barons are sort of dying after one or maximum two generations of ownership is because they are creating, some generational wealth of sorts, right? They don't need these burger barons in the families anymore.
Okay. So on that note, with your brother, he took over the restaurant. Mm-hmm. So why him? Why
yeah,
not
that's
you?
A good question. Oh, well. I think if you watch the movie, you'll know why me very quickly.
And I did.
As I asked my dad, and he was like, no, you weren't ever interested. And it's true, I wasn't interested, but they also never really groomed me for it the way that they groomed my brother for it. They let me work in the dish pit. Maybe when I got my driver's license, take some deliveries, but the real sort of like the boiler room of any restaurant is the grill. Mm-hmm. And that's where they had my brother from a pretty young age, teaching him how to manage that. Because if you can manage the kitchen, you can manage the restaurant.
Yeah.
And the fact is, he's the eldest son, and in an Arab family, the eldest son, carries usually is tasked with carrying the family legacy of sorts. So it can be a privilege. It could also be a burden. I think the reality is it's a mix of both. And actually in this movie, we kind of explore that a little bit, and whether my brother felt like he even had a choice to take over the restaurant.
Yeah. On that note, you cover a lot in this movie. It's not just about burgers. The Lebanese Burger Mafia. You cover including but not limited to burgers, the immigration story, even nepotism, revisionist history, individualism, honoring your parents and lineage and culture, plus so much more. Like what?
Civil War.
There was Civil War. Yeah.
The Lebanese Civil War played a big part.
It was a huge part in this movie. I mean, could you have put anything else in this? This was a lot to swallow, man. I thought I was going in for a nice little burger documentary, and then you're slamming me with all this other stuff. You're making me think.
That makes me so happy to hear. I think that's kind of the disarming charm of this film, right? Is that it is in many ways it's very has a lot of levity. It's a comedic film. It's lighthearted. But you walk out of there surprised by how many, by their range of emotions that you've felt. It's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of depth. That's why we made this feature film, because as you probably know, this started as a 40-minute. It started as a short film. And there was only
short on the longer side, but a short nevertheless.
A mid-length documentary, but we added an hour of story, and it's not just a matter of extending those interviews. In fact, most of the scenes that are in the shorter version are exactly as they are in this. It's actually expanding the story so that we can show the depth of our subjects. The short version, I'm very proud of it, but it's snappy. It's kind of straight to the point. It's much more comedic. But this one goes pretty deep, I think, into what this actually all really means for the people involved, for Alberta, as a commentary on multiculturalism, on sacrifice and hard work and family, like all the themes that we could really just graze in 40 minutes. We were able to explore much more deeply in this.
Yeah, honestly, if someone to say, so what's what's the Lebanese Burger Mafia about? I'd say, and then I'd list off about 12 things.
It's about life.
There you go. It's about life. I like it.
It's about the meaning of life.
All right. As far as you know, how many people have Burger Baron tattoos, including yourself? I heard a rumor.
I don't have one
yet.
I think it's a matter
wrong?
of time, though, right?
Yes.
I know. I think it's a matter of time. I just feel like, maybe I need to just like ride out this Burger Baron wave, and then as sort of like a capstone, get the tattoo.
That logo.
I wrote a book. I wrote a book about Islamic history in the West, and it was like 4 years of research. And then on my last research trip to Brazil, on the very last day, I got a tattoo to sort of like, I don't know, kind of celebrate the end of the journey. Maybe I'll get that Burger Baron tattoo at the end of this journey.
There you go.
How many people have Burger Baron tattoos that I know of? 4.
4?
Know of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Speaking of journeys, tell me about the journey of you starting as an arts reporter and film critic and then making a feature-length documentary in under 2 decades. Like, man, you're a busy guy.
Well, I mean, I started as a aspiring filmmaker. I went to school in Vancouver. I did a year of writing for TV and film at Vancouver Film School, and then I was in the inaugural year of film production studies at Langara Arts College. But I had no interest in documentaries. I had no interest in journalism, really. I mean, as a consumer,
and
yes. And then, I don't know. I mean, film is a very, very difficult field. It's as I don't need to tell you or your listeners this. It's the barrier to entry, the obstacles that you have to overcome, the patience that you have to have is just something that I just didn't possess at the age of 17, 18, 19, which is when I was in college. And also, like, the reality is, what do you have to say at that age, really? I went to college at 17.
Yeah.
To be a screenwriter. What does a 17-year-old screenwriter really have to offer this world? I mean, come on. I think that I just kind of had a bit of a reality check, and I needed to take some time from that. And so I in film school, I met a friend of mine, David Bertrand, who is a film producer and screenwriter out in Toronto. He works with Blue Ant Media now. At that time, he, though, was kind of doing the reverse. He was a journalist studying film. And he got me like sort of a gig at an arts magazine. They didn't have anyone covering hip hop. I loved hip hop. I was happy to do it for like free concert tickets and CDs. And so I really enjoyed that. And then, what else was I interested in? Film. So, I started doing film reviews and, film coverage. And that, I think, lent itself to just kind of creative nonfiction writing and sort of more magazine journalism. Because when you're an arts writer, objectivity is not necessarily the point. It's subjectivity, and it's also like flexing your voice and having like a fresh voice and a fresh angle on things. And so that sort of parlayed itself into feature writing for magazines, where you can have a little bit more style and play with the structure a lot more. And I just really liked it. I really liked that form of journalism, that kind of creative journalism that you see in magazines. And so I did that for quite a few years. In 2013, I wrote a story for Swerve magazine called "Will the Real Burger Baron Please Stand Up?" And that story was really popular. It is the story that kind of followed me through the years. I would go on to write about suicides in oil camps, about investigations into sexual predators, investigations into like possible fraud in the cannabis industry. But the story that people would remember me for is this Burger Baron story. And
no getting away from
I'm
it.
happy to, yeah, no, and I'm happy to be the burger guy, right?
Yeah.
Like I love that it was kind of a part of my reputation, and honestly, like it was also a very disarming thing. Like when I was trying to act as an investigative journalist, having that Burger Baron reputation could sometimes really kind of disarm people and maybe create lower expectations of myself as a journalist. And then to their surprise, I have all the receipts and confront them with some tough questions. So anyway, I did journalism for a while. In 2019, Dylan Reese Howard, friend and filmmaker, approached me with the proposition of turning one of my articles into a documentary, and that became Digging in the Dirt, which is about mental health and masculinity in the oil sands.
Yep, I saw that as well. That was great, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. And then we co-produced and co-directed that, and then about a year later, in late 2020, he said he wanted to produce a movie with me, but also he wanted it to be like my story. He wanted me to, we had an opportunity to pitch CBC another TV doc, and he wanted to know what movie I'd like to make, and it was The Burger Baron. This was the story that I knew of all the stories that I'd written. This was the one that I knew for sure people would gobble up, if you will, and they did.
They did indeed.
I
see what you did there, by the way. Gobble up.
Yep. Yeah, even before it premiered on CBC Gem, like we had just through word of mouth, quite a following already, quite a bit of hype for this movie. When the trailer dropped, it trended in Canada on Twitter. It was like one of the top 5 or 10 trends or something.
So did you realize that the Burger Baron was that big?
Doc. Yeah, I didn't realize that it was going to, I knew it would be popular in Alberta. I didn't think that it was going to gain popularity across Canada. But of course, maybe I should have predicted that, because there's Albertans all over the country, right? And all those expats and all those people who've maybe lived in Alberta, in small town Alberta for any period of time, there's a Burger Baron. The Burger Baron is somewhere in their hearts, because it's such a sort of anchor of those small town communities. Whether you were traveling for like hockey games as a kid, or just on a road trip and you stopped in a small town to eat at one, these are kind of landmarks. And the quirkiness of it, I think, has a lot to do with just the affinity that people have for those places.
Cool. So when you wrote Will a Real Burger Baron Please Stand Up, did you have any inkling that would become a a feature-length documentary?
No. I thought I was done with film at that point, honestly. Yeah. Like, it wasn't even on my mind that I would return to filmmaking. I was really just trying to be, the best magazine journalist that I could. And I wasn't even thinking about really returning to filmmaking until Dylan asked me if I would like to return to filmmaking.
And you're like, heck yeah.
Yeah. And now I'm working on my third or fourth, depending on whether you count Burger Mafia as one or 2. Yeah. So it's I'm happy to be back in this field. I think that it's especially the last Baron, like, it really reminded me of why I love filmmaking and why I love film as a medium. I never expected 20 years ago, literally 20 years ago, when I set off to film school, I never expected that I would be a documentarian. But I love being one. Yeah. And it's just amazing how much bigger of an audience you can reach with film as opposed to printed journalism. Yeah, which is cool, but kind of sad at the same time. Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, it makes sense, right? It's it's, you know, a book or an article isn't really something that you can experience as a group.
That's the thing.
Film is something you can experience as a group, right? With a group of friends, and
it's a communal event.
Faster.
Yeah,
exactly, right. You can consume it faster, and also like as a medium, as an art form, it just has many layers of speaking to someone and reaching them. I mean, through through music and through dialogue and through visuals and through animation and through archival footage and film, The Last Baron is able to tell this unique story of Albertan history in a way that the article never could.
Right. All right. So tell me about Pandemic University School of Writing.
I see you did your research. PANU, as the kids call it,
yes,
is a fake unaccredited university that I accidentally founded in April 2020 when I, like a lot of writers, was out of work and needed something to sort of, pay some bills. And I had some writing workshops in my back pocket that I'd done in person, and I figured why not just present them as a webinar and maybe sell tickets on Eventbrite, and if I can make a few $100, that'll just carry me through until when I'm working again. I mean, also at the time I thought the pandemic would only be like 8 weeks and then everything would be back to normal.
No kidding.
Whoops. And then I thought, well, why don't I know a lot of other writer friends who have the same kind of stuff in their toolboxes. Why don't we package them together, give it a funny name like Pandemic University, and also, create sort of a community at a time when people are, locked down at home, have a lot of free time, but also a lot of like nervous energy. And this would be something positive to focus on. And is there a better time to start writing your memoir or take up that writing project than right now? I don't think there is.
Yeah.
And so, I launched it I conceived and launched it in 10 days. And by the end of that first day that it launched, before the first class had even been offered, it was pretty much like a full-fledged business. Like I had to hire someone to help me manage the inflow of registrations and sort of student requests, and it's still going. I have 2 employees. It is it's a full-fledged business. We are on to our 113th class or course right now. We've had teachers such as like Giller Prize winner Omar El-Akkad, and we had Peter Mansbridge give a convocation speech at our virtual graduation.
How cool is that?
It was amazing. It's so cool. And we've actually started doing some events in person as well. So we've had like a few PANU pub nights across the country. Anyone who's interested in Pandemic University, taking some of our classes or attending some of our events, just go to pandemicuniversity.com.
Right on. So this was your first feature film, The Lebanese Burger Mafia. It premiered at Hot Docs. It won the Northwest Fest Audience Choice Award. Did you hit any other festivals since then?
Yeah, we've been in a few. We were in the Toronto Arab Film Festival. We got second place honorable mention in the feature film category. We premiered in Rotterdam a week ago. We've been in a number of festivals by now, and then a few more coming up. So will be
where are you
in
taking
Sudbury this week.
Okay.
We'll be in Sudbury today, actually, I believe. Sudbury today. And then there's the Devour Film Festival. Devour is a food film festival in Wolfville near Halifax.
Devour.
That will be fun. Yep. I'll be there for that as well. And there's a few more in between. The thing that maybe I'm excited about the most right now is that we will have a national theatrical release on November the 10th is our opening weekend.
Sorry, when?
So November the 10th.
November the 10th. Got it.
Yes. So we will, the opening weekend is going to launch in Toronto at the Ted Rogers Hot Dog Cinema for 4 nights. I know that the Metro Cinema in Edmonton will have it later that week. And I'm sure there are many more to come. So if you are part of if you're connected with a movie theater, if you program for one of them, please get in touch with Level Film Distribution, or email me at info@burgerbaronmovie.com. We would love to get this movie into your city.
Sounds excellent. I'll put out the word myself, my friend.
Thank you.
So what's next for the Honorable Omar of Alberta, and where can people reach you?
I'm just finishing post-production on my new film called Making Kayfabe, which is about the inside world of independent professional wrestling, why people moonlight as wrestlers, and what they get out of it. And the way that I'm answering that question is by training to become a professional wrestler and fulfilling my childhood dream for one night.
Every little boy's childhood dream.
Every boy's childhood dream. So
and
that was
some girls.
It's true, actually, increasingly. That was the way I spent my spring, was training to be a pro wrestler. And I fought my match in June. And
you must have been sore.
So everybody asks that. And I was sore after the first week of training because my muscles had never done that before. But the first day of training they taught me how to not injure myself.
Yeah.
And how to fall, how to fall on my back safely. And, I think there were times when I did hurt myself, but it was because of mistakes that I'd made. When things are going right, when the moves are, when the moves are going right, I wasn't in any pain. I wasn't in any soreness. It was only after when I would mess up. Like one time I forgot to wear knee pads to training and I fell on my knees and immediately was in excruciating pain.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's Making Kayfabe.
Yeah.
And it will be out this fall on CBC Gem, I believe in late November.
All right. You got busy November.
If people want, people can follow me at, you can follow the Burger Baron Movies Instagram account, which is, the Burger Mafia's Instagram account, which is Burger Baron Movie. And you can follow Making Kayfabe on Instagram at It's Fake News, NOOZ. And the reason that is the handle is because my wrestling name was Fake News Neville.
Nice.
So, there you go. And It's Fake News, NOOZ.
Got it. All right. The Lebanese Burger Mafia is playing at the Calgary International Film Festival on Saturday, September 23rd at Eau Claire Market at 1:15 p.m. And then there will be an encore presentation Tuesday, September 26th at 6:45 p.m. I assume you will be doing Q&As after the film, yes?
I will be there on Saturday. I won't be
on Saturday,
there on
not on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to meet our man Omar, you want to be there on Saturday for sure. You can get your tickets at ciffcalgary.ca or at the Eau Claire box office. Thanks again for chatting with us, man. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. It's been so much fun.
Right on. So with that said, everybody out there, rage on.
Cool. Are you going to be there on Saturday?